This is the last episode on this particular series, and on this episode I'm going to be showing you guys how I created this beginner friendly sleeves and also how I created the loops for my back on my corset, okay, for the back of my corset. Okay, thank you for joining me on this video. Please don't forget to like, share, and if you're new on this channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you learned something new today, and please let me know in the comment section if you do. Now, the first thing we're going to be doing is creating the loops, because that is where we stopped on the last episode, and the last episode was the sewing version. So before I start creating, I have to iron down my corset so it lays really flat. Okay, if you have seen the last episode before this one, or the previous episode before this one where I talked about ironing, it is necessary. Okay, that is why I'm doing this, because I need all the edges to lay really flat so I can trim out the unwanted parts and then move into creating my loops. Okay, now it's time for me to trim, and what I need to do now is take out the excess of the lining that is poking out. And you can see this, you can see that the lining is too much excess and it's just not the same with the main fabric. Okay, on this side too I have excess, I have a little bit of excess. I'm just going to trim that out, and all this excess is just coming from the lining. Now that is done, we're going to go ahead and fold in 1/2 inch on the center back so we can create the loops and attach. Okay, now let me show you guys what I mean. This is the center back. We're going to fold this in like this by 1/2 inch. Now this is where you need your iron. Okay, you need your iron for this part. When you fold this in by 1/2 inch, you fold both on the lining and on the main piece, making sure they are both equal. Use your hot iron and press this down so it lays really flat. Okay, you can see what I'm doing. I'm taking my time folding it in, and I'm using my hot iron to finish up the work. So yeah, I'm just going to confirm that it's equal length, and then I'll iron also. Just want everything here to be equal length and width. Is it length? Just equal width. Now what I have done here, I have done on the other side of the center back, the other side, and now we can create the loops. Okay, now this is how I'm going to be creating the loops. If you watched the previous video before this one where I created a bias, I told you guys I created a bias that I used on the back. Now that bias is still remaining. I have like a lot remaining. This is it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fold it into two. This is how it looks. I'm going to fold this into two, and then I'll sew. Now if you have the normal bias, you can use that to create your loops. Okay, or you can actually create your own bias if you want, but then if you have the normal bias, just fold that bias that you have into two, and now you go ahead and sew a lot, because you're going to be needing a lot for your channel, unless you want your back to be, you want the loops at your back to be not so much, then you can just create what you want. Okay, it's your project. I can't tell you what to do. Okay, so but just go ahead and sew the amount you need to cut out and create your loops. I am done. I just want to cut out how many I need. I need 16, and each of them is going to be 1.5 inch long. So that's what I'm showing you, 1.5 inch. So I'll cut out, this is the first one, and I'll use the first one to cut the rest. Okay, like I said, I need 16. Why? Because I need 8 on the left and 8 on the right. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut out 16 of this. So on the center back of my corset, I'm just going to go ahead and place my loops, and just make sure I place them 1 inch apart. Okay, I'm going to be placing all of them, all the loops I have 1 inch apart, and you can see I just picked up one, fold it into two, and I'm placing it in between the lining and the main piece. Remember, we already ironed by 1/2 inch, so that space now is already like a close edge. So you place your loops in between those space, or that particular space, and now sew on top of both your lining, your main piece, and the loops, okay, or the loop. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just making sure that when I sew, I backstitch, and I'm just making sure the backstitch is not too messy. And now I'll go ahead and just keep marking 1 inch apart, okay. So the next one is going to sit 1 inch apart from the first, the next one 1 inch apart from the second, like that, you get the gist. 1 inch apart, okay. The distance between the first to the next is 1 inch, and the next to the next is 1 inch. I feel like I'm rapping. So now that I have indicated my 1 inch apart, I'll just keep folding the loops and placing it in between the lining and the main piece. And when I place, I sew. When I place, I sew. And that is how it's going to be. Now, I'm not going to show you guys how I do the other side, but you get the gist, right? Make sure that the other side, you place them just the same way you have on this side, and make sure that they both sit equally, okay? Because they're just going to be like twins from different side, okay? From the left and the right, they're just going to be like twinsies, okay? So the same way you're placing on this side, repeat on the other side. And this is the result for mine. So this is how it's looking. Like I said, twinsies left and right, and I'm just going to go in with another stitch on all of them. Like from the lining, I'm just going to go in with a straight stitch, making sure I sew on all the loops, okay? So this is going to make it really tight and not pull off. So this is how it looks. Now it's time for me to pass my cord through my loops, okay? So make sure you have your cord or your straps, whatever you want to use to pass through your loops. For me, I'll be using a cord, or I hope that is the name. This is it. So this is what I'll be using for my loops, and I'm just going to bond the edges because like it keep fraying, okay? And I need it to be firm. I don't need it to fray, so I'll just bond the edges. And I'm just going to tell you guys how long my cord is, so in case you want to use that to cut out your straps. Now my cord is 112 inches long, okay? That is how long my cord is. Right here on my tape it's 56, and I folded this into 2 already. So 56 plus 56 gives you 112. It's time for me to pass them through the loops, and this particular episode is just very simple. Creating your loops is like the easiest thing to do when creating the corset, and also creating the sleeves. The sleeve is actually like a beginner friendly project. Apart from creating a corset and making the sleeves the corset sleeves, you can use this for any other top, like, or any other dress. Like this puff sleeves is like beginner friendly sleeves that you can just use, you know, when you just create like a very simple outfit, a very simple dress, you just add the sleeves to it and it just looks very exaggerated and very classy and very fancy. And I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Like I don't know why I'm marketing the sleeves too much, but anyways, it's very easy. And back to business. This is how it looks after I was done lacing the loops. And you guys, that is it for this particular piece. We're done with the back, we're done with the whole corset. Now we have to create the sleeves. So creating the sleeves is the last thing we need to do for this corset. And this is how I'm going to be creating it. Now I'll go ahead and take my round armhole measurement, and I will times that by 4. My round armhole is 16 times 4 gives you 64. Now that is how wide my sleeves fabric is going to be. So this is the fabric already cut out, but still I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys the width and the length, okay? So I have 2 pieces here, 2 pieces of fabric. And the length of my sleeves is 16 inches. And why is it 16 inches? Because we're going to be creating channels for the elastics, okay? So 16 inches is actually the safer bet that I could use. I didn't want it long. I just wanted it to just, you know, be puffy and round. I don't know if you guess, but yeah. Now I'm showing you guys the width, and the width I have here is 63 instead of 64, but yeah, that is just 1 inch shorter than what I needed to use. But you get the gist, right? The more you times your round armhole, the more puffiness you're going to get on your sleeves. Let's go ahead and create a channel for the elastic. So this is the elastic I'm going to be using for the upper part of my sleeves, and this is a 1 inch elastic. So it means that the channel I'm going to be creating is going to be 1 inch wide. Now to do that, I'll fold this in by 1/2 inch and then fold by 1 inch, and on the base I'm just going to fold in 1/2 inch twice, because the elastic I'm using is just 1/2 inch wide. Okay, so I'm using two different type of elastic. The upper part is 1 inch elastic, the lower part, the base, is 1/2 inch elastic. So yeah, to make my work easier, I'm just going to iron this. I'm ironing 1/2 inch in first, and then I'll go ahead and iron 1 inch on the same upper part. So now I'll fold this by 1 inch, and then I'll iron this down. This is just going to help my work very easy. When I take this to the sewing machine and I'm stitching, it's just going to stitch really neat. That is what ironing does. Okay, ironing help your work lay really flat, and then while sewing it gives you this clean finishing. So go ahead and iron before you sew. Once I was done with the ironing stage, now it's time for me to sew, and I'm just going to sew on the 1 inch first. And you can see where I'm sewing. I'm sewing at the end of the 1 inch, the end of the fold, and sewing at the end is just going to create a channel for me to pass my elastic when I'm done. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. You guys, like, share and subscribe, like, share and subscribe, like, share, help me share. I'm done. Okay, for the base now, I'm just going to go ahead and sew on the 1/2 inch that I've already ironed down, and I'll do the same thing. I'll sew at the edge of the fold so that when I'm done sewing, I have that middle channel on that fold where I can pass my elastic through. Now please let me know on the comment section if you think I am explaining too much, or you think that I'm not explaining enough. Let me know what you think. Okay, customers are always right. Why did I say that? So now I am done sewing. It's time for me to pass my elastic through the channels that I have created, and I'll be doing the upper part first, the top parts, and this is the elastic. I'm gonna have to cut out what I need. Now what I need is elastic that is 10 inches long, and a lot of you keep asking me how do I get the elastic. Now go ahead and place that elastic that you want to use round your armhole, okay, and just make it tight. Now from there you can know how much you need for your sleeves. Okay, and I'm doing the same thing right now, showing you guys how long my elastic for the base is, and it is just 9 inches long. And I'm just going to pass the top part of elastic first. I'm using my needle to sew on top. I'm using my hand needle to sew on the elastic first, and then I'm just going to pass the needle through the channel. I'll pass it from one side and bring it out from the other side, and this is just going to help my elastic pass through that channel. Okay, I thought I had something else to say, but that was it. So I'll keep pushing my needle until it gets to the other side, and then I'm just going to pin this down. I'll pin the elastic down with the fabric, and then I'll move to the base and pass my elastic through. So here I am done with the upper part. I'll pin this down so it does not move while I'm working on the base. Now this is the base elastic. Like I said, is 9 inches long, and I'm using my hand needle the same way I did for the upper parts. I'll just sew this a little bit and then pass my needle through the channel created, and yes, that is like it. That is just it. Don't forget to help me like, share and subscribe. So once I'm done for the base, I'll pin this down so it does not move. And the next thing I need to do is fold this into two and sew on the wrong side. So now I'm about to close up the sleeves. Like I said, it was easy, right? Like, it's just very easy. I'll fold this into two and sew by 1/2 inch, making sure that I sew on the elastic twice, like I backstitch on the elastic, and then I'll sew this down to the base elastic and backstitch. And this is just it for the sleeves. Like I said, creating this particular sleeve is like very easy, very easy to create. It's a beginner project. Very easy, right? You've seen it, you've seen the whole process I followed, and there was nothing to it, there was nothing hidden to it. Okay, so after sewing my sleeves together, I'm just going to flip this to the right side. It's done, and I'll flip this to the right side, and you guys are going to see how puffy this looks. Really puffy. So see the result, and you guys, that is it for this particular episode. Thank you for watching the series. You guys, let me know what you think. If I was able to do a good job, let me know. I really need to hear your feedback. I love you guys so much. We're going to go ahead and sew the sleeves to the corset before I go off. To sew the sleeve to the corset, all we have to do is we're going to be identifying the line where we have the joining of the front and the back piece, and this is mine. And also on the line where we have the joining of the sleeves, I'll find the line, and I'm just going to place the line of the joining to the line of the joining on the corset, where you have your back piece joined to your front piece. That line, place your sleeve line to, and just sew on it by 1 inch. Okay, when I mean 1 inch, you go back and forth 1 inch. You don't need too much, you don't need to sew this in too much. Just on top, you see the way I just went front back 1 inch tops, and this is the result you're going to get. Okay, so this is the result it's just going to give you once you're done doing that. You can see that I didn't sew much, I just sewed in 1 inch, and this is it. This is how I created my puff sleeves. You guys, thank you so much. I have been saying this thank you because I appreciate every one of you for watching. I appreciate your engagement. I appreciate your helping me share, and please don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I'll be seeing you guys on my new videos to come. Love and light again to you, and bye for now.